Thank you for joining me for another episode of The Kelsey Show, which is all my videos I put on the internet to get you laughing and keep you moving towards your goals. You guys, I am fangirling out right now because I'm sitting with Anjelah Johnson Reyes.
Oh my God.
Anjelah Johnson is a creative entrepreneur and comedian who you may know from her viral video featuring a bit called Nail Salon. That bit launched many stand-up, television, and film opportunities and a spot as a Mad TV series regular. On Mad TV, she created another internet sensation, Qui Qui, an original comedic character viewed and replicated by over 65 million fans worldwide. As that beloved character, she's produced sold-out tours and released multiple records with Warner Brothers Records, and she's appeared in multiple national commercials, guest starred on shows such as Ugly Betty and Curb Your Enthusiasm, and she's recorded 4 one-hour comedy television specials. It was recently announced that she will star in a new half-hour sitcom from NBC and executive producer Kevin Hart entitled All Fancy, which is loosely based on her life. I enjoyed sitting down recently to talk with her about how she took one tipping point and turned it into a lasting, successful career.
I feel like a lot of people don't realize what a big fan they are of you because they just don't know that they love that video.
I like that. You guys don't know how much of a fan you are of me.
Super fans. Super fans. I mean, the ones who know you recognize your name for sure, but I feel like there are people who don't recognize your name. Guys, this is the nail bit. The nail salon bit girl, I guess is a way to say it. 21 million, I checked this morning, YouTube views. And I don't even think that was the original, right?
No.
It's much more than that.
It's like 80 million or something crazy.
But now she's an international touring comedian. She is a really big deal, and I'm a very big fan, so I'm very excited. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I love to go back to the beginning, and I just love that you were a Raiderette.
I was.
She was a Raiderette, you guys, which is a NFL, right? Raiders.
NFL.
Cheerleader, dancer. Pom-poms involved.
She comes.
So tell us, how did you go from that to comedian, but start with the very first steps? Because I know you kind of made a deal with God, like, I'm going to be a Raiderette. So tell us that story, because I think it's kind of funny.
Well, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I hated school, but I was in like junior college and taking random classes just because that's what you do when you don't know what to do with your life. And then I had this desire in my heart to be an actress, but I would never say it out loud because I was embarrassed. I was ashamed almost because it was so far-fetched. It was so big of a dream, and I felt like, who am I to dream something so big? Like the audacity I have. So I would just like keep it tucked away in my heart and never actually say it out loud. And then I had a friend invite me to come try out to be a cheerleader for the Raiders. And I was like, that's not really my thing, but I was kind of using that as my sign. If I make this squad, I'll do it for 1 year, and then I'm going to move to LA, and I'm going to try to be an actress. And I mean, so many more details and how like everything just worked out, and all the stars aligned, as they say, and everything made its way pointing me in the direction of move to LA and be an actress. So I cheered for 1 year. And we went to the Super Bowl that year, came home from the Super Bowl, and the very next weekend I packed up all my stuff in my little station wagon and I drove to Hollywood and started from the ground up as an extra and just worked my way up.
Yeah, so I love the extra story because she went to like this casting office where you go if you want to sign up to be an extra. Yes. But she used her Raiders headshot.
Yes.
And this guy there was a Raiders fan.
Yeah, it was one of those things, again, where it's like, however you want to phrase it, the stars aligned, Holy Spirit came in and, you know, lit up the pathway. It was, you know, however you want to say it. My friend was like, go to this casting extras agency. Don't wait in line, just walk up to the window, ask for this certain person. I want you to bring a tray of cookies and your headshot, your Raiderette headshot, and tell them you're new in town and you want to be an extra. And I felt so slimy. I was like, are you kidding me? When I was trying to buy this guy with cookies in a sexy picture of a cheerleader? Like, what? And so I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to her. And I go there and I ask for this guy and they go, sure, he'll be right out. He comes walking out and he's wearing a Raiders baseball cap, you know, and like a Raiders jersey, like totally decked out. And I give him my Raiderette headshot and my cookies and like, hey, I'm new in town. Just want to let you know I'm here. Immediately he was like, oh, Raiderette? No way. Oh, Super Bowl. You know, we just went to the Super Bowl. So it was like so exciting, and like 2 days later, he called me and was like, do you want to be an extra on Friends? And it was like the biggest show on television at the time. My favorite show, still until this day, of all time.
Of course.
And I was like, yeah, I want to be an extra on Friends. And I started as, you know, drinking my coffee in Central Park, you know, just,
You can find her. She said season 9 and 10, right?
Season 9 and 10.
Find her in the background.
You can find me in the background for sure.
I love it.
And
so did your friend know he was a Raiders fan? That's why she sent you to him?
I don't know.
Really?
That's a good question. I should ask her. But she was very specific. Bring your Raider headshot and your cookies. Go ask for him. I don't know.
Yeah, I love that. So then, you know, of course, is it a few years between that point and your video going viral?
Yes, so I moved here in 2003, and I started doing stand-up in 2006.
Okay, so started doing stand-up, which that bit was one of your first few things. It was the beginning.
I took a joke writing stand-up comedy class at a church, just because I had no desire to be a comedian. It was just every Tuesday night, they would do like creative arts night, and it would be like acting classes, dance over here in this room. If you want to be in the choir, then you go to this room over here. And then, so I was in the acting one, and there was a woman there who is a stand-up comedian, and she was teaching a joke writing class. Well, in the acting class, we would do improv games, and I was funny in the improv games. So she was like, hey, do you want to come and take my stand-up class? And I was like, is it free? And she's like, yeah. So I was like, well, I guess so. Okay. So I took the class because it was free, because I was already there. So I was like, yeah, I guess, sure, I don't care. And one of the first jokes that I wrote was this nail salon bit. And I remember when I first brought it up, she was like, so many comedians do a nail salon joke. It's considered hacky, which means like overdone, you don't have an original take on it, don't do it. So she's like, it's very hacky, I would stay away from nail salon jokes. And I was like, I don't know if people do it the way I do it.
Definitely not.
So I'm gonna try it anyways.
Right.
And then I wrote that joke in that free class, and our graduation was we had to perform at a real comedy club. And I closed on my nail salon bit for my first big performance.
Did you feel like it was going to be a big thing? Did you feel like, ooh, this is good?
No. I mean, I did it, and I did well the first time. So I was encouraged to do it again. Had I not done well the first time, I would have just never done it again, because it wasn't my dream. It wasn't my goal. It was a free class that I took because I had free time. Yeah. And it was like free education. Yeah, sure, I'll try it. Why not? It was one of those. So if I performed and I bombed, I'd be like, oh, well, tried that, moving on. But it did well. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll do it again. And then somebody saw me perform there, and they're like, hey, do you want to do my Tuesday night at Buzz Cafe? Sure. Hey, do you want to do my, Wednesday at the Improv? Yeah. And that's kind of how
so just
it started.
To that.
Yeah. But I fought it for a long time. I was
going to ask
an actress.
You were going to do.
I'm an actress, you guys. So back up, first of all, with all your stand-up talk. And fought it for a really long time. And it wasn't until, this is back in MySpace days.
Oh, wow.
Dating myself, back in MySpace days. And it wasn't until I got a message from somebody. They're like, hey, we're doing a holiday party in Orange County. Do you want to come perform? And it's for a big Mormon event. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not Mormon. And they're like, no, it's okay. You don't have to be Mormon. You just have to work clean. Right. So if you come and do a clean show, there's a competition, and the winner of the competition gets to take home money. So we're like, sure, I'll go. So I go to Orange County, I do this competition, I end up tying for first place with some other guy, and I got to take home $600. And that was the most money I had ever made in one day in my entire life. And I'm like broke, struggling actor, can't pay the bills, you know what I mean? And I just got $600 in 1 hour. I was like, ding, oh, maybe I will be a comedian. Is that how it works? And of course it doesn't work like that right away. Yeah. But it was enough to go, maybe I should write some more jokes and see what happens. And then next thing you know, this nail salon video just blows up, and I was kind of forced to write more material because people wanted me to perform all over the world, but I only had 12 minutes of jokes from my little free class that I took. So I was like, well, I gotta write some more jokes. And then here I am working on my 5th hour of material and touring the world.
Okay, so before we move into your comedy career, because that's what it became, you told Jen Hatmaker on her podcast, I know a lot of you guys like Jen, so you may have heard that interview, and you talked about how before the YouTube video went viral, and you went and did this comedy night for like $25 or whatever, that you, like you just said, you were struggling, you were at the end of the rope, you had no agent, manager, or nothing really going, no prospects. And so I just wondered, because I feel like it takes, you have to have some sort of knowing or some sort, or maybe a little bit of crazy to stay. And like, what kept you in LA? And if someone out there is like, man, I'm down to like 2 cents in my bank account, maybe not necessarily for entertainment, but just like, should they stick with the dream? Should they stick with it? How did you know you needed to stay?
God, purpose, and vision. So everyone, pursue your dreams. Whatever your dream is, go for it, pursue it, right? When you have a dream that you're going for, it's passion that keeps you motivated, keeps you going. But when you feel you have a calling for something, it adds a little more oomph, a little more push to keep going. I feel like this is where God wants me to be in my life. So when times get rough, when you can't pay your bills, you have that peace inside your spirit that's saying, stay here. I know it looks rough on the outside. I know you're hungry, but stay here. So following peace, which comes with your connection to God, and following your dreams and passion and having vision for your life. There were so many times where I had nothing going on in my life, in my career, but when I would go into like my prayer time and my journaling time, and I would just like dream and like write it out, I could see it in my mind. I could see myself so at this point, I'm remembering like this specific vision that I had, and I had not one acting gig to my name at this time. I was just an extra and had like a couple like stand-up sets, right? But I remember having this vision of myself at a high school, and I was speaking at this high school assembly, and it was filled with kids, and I was this well-known actress that was coming to speak to them. So like I saw this vision of myself, like coming back to the community, giving back to the community as someone who had made it. But in real life, I was eating top ramen.
Right.
So it was like little visions like that would encourage me and inspire me to keep going. So however it is that you seek out those visions, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's prayer, maybe it's therapy and counseling, however it is that you find yourself in a space where you can turn off the outside external circumstances and go deep within yourself and your heart and get in tune with your own desires. Maybe you call it God's desires for you. However you identify in your spiritual life, tune in to what that is and let that be like a force to keep you going when everything around you is like, you're hungry.
I love that. And a key part there is tuning everything else out, which I feel like, don't you think that's a little bit harder now than it was back then? I mean, it's just like we're
of course.
So taking time, maybe like off social media, except for my show, OBS. So I love that. So you just decide, I still have a piece. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stick it out. Then the video goes viral. All of a sudden, you're getting blowing up on MySpace with messages.
Yeah.
People are sending their assistants. Agents are contacting, all that stuff. So at that point, you've got to do something. Everything's hitting. So was your first step, well, I better get an agent. I better get a manager. What'd you do first?
I got an agent first. And I started getting messages from different production companies and people who wanted to meet with me. And my acting teacher at the time, hooked me up with an agent. Like, she set up a meeting for me. They saw everything that was happening with me, so they saw that there was like some heat behind me, so they took a risk and brought me on, even though I had no experience. But immediately interviews come in, like, oh, CBS wants to meet with you, so-and-so wants to meet with you. And then my agent set me up with meetings with a bunch of different managers in town, and then I picked a manager. And then maybe a month later, I ended up auditioning for Mad TV, and I booked Mad TV. So it started like snowballing after that.
So then when you're hot and things are happening, you get on Mad TV, which is when you created Qui Qui, right? It was that same time. And did you start to do more stand-up then too?
Yes.
Doing a lot more.
I wrote more material over the summer. And so it was January of 2007 when this video first went viral, and I had nothing to my name. I didn't have an agent. I didn't have any of that. By the end of 2007, I had an agent, a manager, and I was on Mad TV, and I had written about 45 minutes of materials that I could start touring as a headliner across the country. And that was all within 1 year.
So I would like to know, what was like an average week like during that year?
Girl, it was all overwhelming. It was exciting. It was new and different all the time. It was a new phone call from a different executive that wants to meet with you, a different opportunity. They want you to come and perform in this city, in that city. So it was growth in my stand-up writing. It was growth in my acting career. I was doing publicity events. I was doing red carpet events. I was doing all of this stuff that just 6 months ago didn't even have the opportunity to do it. So much growth in such a short amount of time, and overwhelm. I imagine, like, feeling out of your depth a little bit. Like, how did you know, yes, I should partner with this person? No, I shouldn't. I should go do this. I shouldn't. Did you rely on your manager and agent for that, or did you just trust your gut? All of it. I always go back to follow peace in your spirit. Wherever peace goes, I go. Wise counsel, asking my agents and managers, people who have been doing this for years, what do you think in this situation? And I think early on in my career, my manager at the time was more of like my work dad, I used to call him. So I would come to him for everything. And it was like, whatever he says that's the truth. That's how it works. And it's kind of like just growing up. Like, you go through a season where your dad is the smartest guy in the world.
Right.
And he's your Google. He's your everything. Like, dad is the smartest. You come to him for everything. Whatever he says goes. Like, well, my dad says I can't go, so I'm not going to go. You know, like that kind of thing. And then at a certain point, you grow and you mature, and you can start making decisions for yourself, and you can start weighing the options, and you can see where he's like, oh, I don't think you should do that. And then you can be like, well, I'm going to take a risk and I'm going to do it. And take the reins of your own career. So there's different seasons. There's seasons where you come under somebody and you learn, and then there's seasons where you've grown and you're like, thank you for that opinion. I respect it, but I'm actually going to do this.
And so what do you think in those first couple of years, what was like a big mistake you made?
Which one? Let's see. Big mistake. Relationships are very important here. And sometimes you have to fire an agent, fire a manager, move on to a different one, and that's the name of the game. But you have to have tact and grace when you do that. And there was a situation early on in my career where I had to leave an agency because I felt like I had outgrown the agency, and I had a bigger agency ready to accept me. The way that was handled, I wish I could go back and handle it differently, but that was one of the things where I came under wisdom of my managers at the time, who were like, handle it this way. And still to this day, I have these certain people that have a bad taste in their mouth about me because of what was handled 12 years ago now. So, like, I feel like that's a mistake that I wish I could have handled it differently, to where these are relationships that maybe I don't need to be at their agency, but I can refer my friends who are at this level and say, hey, you know what, you guys should really look at my friend here, and they can trust my opinion and my word because we have that relationship, and just to be in good standing with people. So I think that was one mistake that I made, was that relationship.
And relationships, I want to talk more about that because now you have a team and I want to talk about that. But I was actually thinking about the bit itself, the nail salon bit. Do you think someone could do that today? I feel like everyone would be like politically incorrect and then blackball you and Twitter would just kill you.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Yes and no. Yes, you can, because it all depends on your point of view and the way you tell the joke. For me, that joke is observational. Mm-hmm. It's a story of a personal experience, and there's nothing mean-spirited about it.
True.
There's nothing where I'm demeaning anyone. Mm-hmm. It's an observational story of something that happens in society, in our American culture. The trip to go get your nails done and what that entails from beginning to end. It's a story that still happens every day in our country, so we're allowed to talk about it. I think if you have a certain point of view that's maybe hateful or insensitive, then you're really going to come across a lot of people who are like, no, you can't say that. But I do have now more than ever more people offended by it, but I can stand by my joke because I know that there's nothing in it mean-spirited, and I know my intentions behind it. And so it really all depends. And the climate's always changing, so you never know. I mean, I still do the joke, and I'm still proud of it, and it's still relevant. People are still experiencing this, and I'm still experiencing this, and I am allowed to talk about what I experienced.
Yeah. If you do it on stage now, do you add to it? Have you changed it, or you just do?
I've adjusted it over the years for sure.
So
now,
you would get tired of it.
Yeah. Oh, girl, yes.
But it also pays the bills, so
exactly,
so to speak.
Exactly. It's my joke that people want to hear every time. And I went through a season where I was like, I don't want to do it, whatever. But then I'm kind of in this place now where I respect my fans so much that I understand I am where I am because of them. And this is what they want to hear, so let me give them what they want to hear. Yeah. So I'm kind of at a place where I enjoy telling the joke again because I tell it as a gift and not as a burden.
Yeah, I love that. And that's why your fans love you. And that's so great. So tell us a little bit about your writing process. For those who are creatives, not everyone watching obviously wants to be a comedian or write jokes, but there are a lot of people who are wanting to be authors. They have a creative, mind. So tell us a little bit about how you write your jokes. Has that process changed? Because now you're writing, 45 to an hour minute sets.
Right.
And you've done that many times over.
Yeah.
So just explain your process a little bit.
My process is I keep a folder in my phone where I write down ideas and notes, and I try it on stage, basically. I'll talk to myself a lot. I talk to myself in the shower. I talk to myself while I'm driving, and then I'll voice record myself. If I think of something while I'm driving, then I'll just record it, and I'll just keep talking, and then later on, I'll go back and listen to it and say, okay, I'm going to try that this weekend, and then I'll try it on the weekend, and then in between shows, I am reworking it and rewriting it, see what worked, see what didn't work. I have some really great friends around me that I can bounce ideas off of, and that can watch my set and say, okay, that worked the way you did it this time, but maybe try going this way and see if that works better. Mm-hmm. So I have certain people in my life that I trust to know my voice and my brand so that they can be like, okay, try it like this. Yeah. Maybe try this tag instead of this. So that's kind of how my process works nowadays. It used to be just very much me not wanting to write new material because I would get comfortable with my 1 hour, and it wouldn't be until, like, how you cram the night before a test, I would realize I was coming back to a market, and I'd be like, oh man, these are the same jokes I did last time I was here. I better write some new ones. And then it would be like that. So that used to be, my motivation for writing was very guilt and shame burden, but now I write because I feel like I have things to say and I want to share it.
Yeah, I think like abundance mindset, I feel like with creatives, a lot of times we are so worried we're not going to have the next idea. That's been something for me. I'm like, oh, but will I have the next idea? And I think you just kind of have to trust, yes, just keep writing, keep working. But clearly you have a knack for it and you're so good at it. And that wasn't even your plan. Was your family surprised? Were your family and friends like, what are you doing with your life?
They definitely were. And to touch on what you were just saying, like, but keep writing and keep working even when you have that fear that's like, will I have the next idea? To add to that is just keep living. Just keep living your life, because that's where the ideas come from. You getting up and going with your friends out to a night of cocktails, and then maybe going to a music festival, and living and experiencing things is where you get inspired. It's where you see and where you go, oh, what about that? Because if you're just home being like, okay, what's my next idea? Let me try to journal. Let me just sit here and pray. What's my next idea? Let me just, scroll through Instagram. What is everybody else doing? Let me just I'm tired, so let me just stay home and whatever. Like, that's not where inspiration and ideas are going to come from. It's going to come from living life. Go, experience, adventure, say yes to things you would normally say no to. Go experience life, and that's where ideas are going to come from.
Love that, because I feel like we can kind of be hermits.
Oh my gosh, yes. Especially creatives,
So going back to the reaction of your family and friends, were people surprised? Have you always been funny? Was it? Obviously you're funny.
My whole family is funny, so I think we were all surprised that one of us could make a profession out of it.
Right.
But my dad is funny. My siblings are funny.
So do you still want to act? I know you're actively auditioning and stuff, right? So you still want to do that as well?
Actively auditioning, actively not booking. But listen.
I follow her Insta stories. You guys should all follow her on Instagram because she talks about it.
I do. I invite you into my process. Yes, I want to act. I love it still. And it's one of those, grow where you are planted. Grow where you're planted. Right now, stand-up is what's blooming. So I'm not going to, cut this flower or uproot this plant to try to put it over here in this acting world, because when that's ready, it'll start blooming and it'll organically grow. I'm not saying don't work on it. Don't study for it. Don't be prepared for it. Always be prepared, but where you focus your time and your energy is what's growing. There's different seasons. You're not going to try to grow strawberry when it's not strawberry season. You're going to have a harder time. Why don't you grow cucumbers, because that's what's in season right now, and that's going to flourish. So that's kind of how I address my career, because there's so many facets to my career. There's acting, there's music, there's stand-up, there's producing, there's writing, there's whatever it may be, and you kind of go with the season, you go with your gut, you go with your spirit, and right now, stand-up is what's flourishing and growing, so I'm throwing all my seeds and my resources into this, and I'm growing my stand-up numbers, and growing, social media numbers and stuff like that, and then eventually, acting will start to bloom, and then I'll start taking some of this focus and put it here.
Yeah. I love that. And clearly that is blooming, because you're selling out all over the U.S. And she just added a ton of 2019 dates. Guys, go check her website.
Yes, I did.
I just wanted to know, last couple questions, what life is like for you, because you are really on the road, like constantly on the road. We had to go back and forth a million times to get this interview. I'm so glad I caught you when you're at home. But what is that like? How do you function when and you're married? I mean, you have your husband, and he also tours. So what is life like? What's a month like or a week like for you guys?
Different all the time. We don't have a set schedule of anything, which has its pros and cons. Sometimes you just want that regular stuff. Like, for instance, my husband and I went to the grocery store last week, and we could not remember a time when we were at the grocery store together.
Wow.
Like, we couldn't remember. I was like, when's the last time I remember to the grocery store? It was just something as simple as going to the grocery store. You don't get that regular time, but the pros to that is we get to travel and see the world, and we get to pick up and go whenever we want, and all of that is all fun and exciting. So we don't have a typical, this is what a day looks like, this is what a month looks like. It's all different all the time.
Well, I know you're really big into health, and you're also like, you have to keep your mind sharp to get up and do stand-up and to be writing. So I wondered, with like such an inconsistent schedule and daily life, what are some of your routines that you can do on the road and at home that keep you sharp?
Get adequate sleep. That is my biggest thing. I can function off of 6 hours of sleep. I prefer 8 hours of sleep. If I have like 3 days in a row of 6 hours, I start to feel sick. My body starts to get weak. Taking daily vitamins, probiotics, gut health is very helpful, keeping your gut healthy. That's probiotics, kombucha, drinks, yogurt, whatever it is, because 75% of your immune system is in your gut. So those are some of my go-to things. Is if I start feeling a little under the weather, I check my gut health, get some probiotics, do some fresh juicing, stuff like that. But sleep and gut health is my main.
Again, follow on the gram, because then you'll see all of her juices and her smoothies and all the things. I feel like I've gotten a whole education. Okay, last question. Jackie's there off camera. You guys may have seen us looking over there. And you travel with, I only know his Instagram handle, Mal Hall, but what's
Mal Hall, that's his name.
Okay, Mal. So, and you mentioned having people around you that you could bounce ideas off of. And I just wondered your advice for people who are starting to grow and need to assemble those key people around them.
Okay, first of all, who's organically around you? Like, who has shown an investment in your career, in your brand, in your dreams, in the things that you love? Who has actively called you and said, hey, have you thought about maybe doing a YouTube series? I was thinking about that for you. Who are those people that are naturally, organically already investing in your life? And then start assigning them something. No, I haven't thought about a YouTube series. Do you have any ideas? Do you want to maybe get together for lunch and you can like tell me things that you're thinking of and maybe help me get it started? Yeah, sure. Let's meet on Tuesday. Like organic relationships like that, and you will find your team. You will find who is really in it for team you and who has ulterior motives, who is just hungry and wants a paycheck and maybe sees you as a bank. You will see who those people are in your life, and it's just about being aware, following peace, and taking a risk. Yeah, maybe I can do this YouTube series. Let's do it together, whatever it may be. So assembling your team definitely takes a while, but I would say start looking at organically who's near you in that world.
I love that, and that's the first time I've heard that. That's such great advice.
Yes, something
Knowledge
new.
bombs. But I often ask people about scaling, and I feel like that's the best I've heard. Just like look at who's already coming in. It's so great. Okay, we will be right back after this with Fast Facts. All right, guys, I wanted to ask you, if you're enjoying this interview, if you would show some love. You could give it a thumbs up, you can take a screen grab and give me a shout out on Instagram. You can share it with a friend who you know will love it. The Kelsey Show is brought to you totally free for 2 reasons. One, I work my face off as a motivational entertainer. I'm an international keynote speaker. You can actually book me to speak at your event, your conference, your meetup, your book club, your kid's baptism. I'm here for it. Just go to kelseyhumphreys.com. There's a link there on the homepage. And 2, viewers like you who support me by buying my books and limited edition swag and all that kind of stuff that can be found on the shop page. Again, just go to kelseyhumphreys.com and you'll find it there. Let's get to the goods on how we take insights from such a super successful person and apply it to our, everyday lives. So here are my top few keys to success for the rest of us
from my interview with Anjelah Johnson. Number 1, be teachable. You guys, she followed her friend's advice to the letter when she arrived in LA. She could have decided, well, I'm going to take a headshot, but I'm not going to take a Raiderette headshot. Also, she was taking free classes at church, doing whatever she could to learn. So I think that is something we shouldn't overlook about the beginning of her story. Number 2, be willing to take risks. Remember, her teacher said not to do the nail salon bit, but she listened to her gut, knew that it was funny, and decided to do it anyway. Imagine what she would have missed out on if she had not taken that risk. Number 3, be open to different paths. Remember, she wanted to be an actor, but when stand-up comedy opened all the doors, she walked through them instead of being stubborn about it. And now she's been in movies and TV shows, and she's about to star in her own sitcom. So be open about how you get to where you're going, but stay clear on your vision. Number 4, keep striking while the iron is hot. When Johnson's video exploded, she immediately went into writing more jokes. She immediately wanted to do more stand-up. So for you, if you have a tipping point, think of other products or services that you could offer that would appeal to your new pool of potential customers. And most importantly, if you've heard anything from all my interviews, make sure that you get those new fans and followers onto your email list. Number 5, staff up to sustain quick growth. Another immediate action for her was to get an agent and a manager, which is what fits for the entertainment industry. But for you, you might need to hire an assistant, a business manager, an accountant, or maybe hourly employees to help fulfill your orders. And I love what she said about hiring. Look around and see who has already shown an investment in your career, who already cares about your brands, who sends you ideas and is already engaged, and find a way to hire them. Next, remember your bigger purpose. When you do have a big break or you start to really gain traction with your business, it's going to get hectic. Yes, it's going to be exciting, but you are also going to be overwhelmed, exhausted, a little unsure. So remember what she said about focusing on your why, getting clear with your purpose, find a way to get centered. She talked about meditation, prayer, therapy, counseling. You guys, all of the successful people I interview talk about this. Find a way to get in a space where you can listen to your intuition, get quiet, and focus on your why. Another good lesson, continue to live a full life outside of your work. When you start to grow, when things are hopping, you can't keep up with your orders, you're getting all these new followers, you're getting new customers, you're getting new clients. Remember, you can't totally become consumed with work and expect to still have innovative ideas and still be, a happy, healthy, functioning human being. So I loved her advice about getting outside of work, getting away from your desk, getting out of your house, and living your life. Next lesson, prioritize relationships. Johnson shared honestly with us that was one of her big mistakes during her time of explosive growth, was that she didn't handle all of her industry relationships well. So make sure you're slowing down, communicating politely, being professional and courteous with everyone, no matter how swamped you are. And lastly, especially prioritize that fan, customer, client, audience relationship. To modify one of my favorite Oprah Winfrey quotes, even when you make it to the limo, y'all, you need to remember your fans, customers, and clients who were with you on the bus. I love that she talked about being so grateful for her audience that now she keeps telling that nail salon bit as a gift to them. So no matter how much you grow, no matter how much success you're having, and if you want to have success in the first place, you have to prioritize who you serve.
All right, we are back with Fast Facts. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Starbucks order?
Right now, soy flat white blonde.
Oh my.
Tall.
Okay, early bird or night owl?
Neither.
Winter or summer?
Summer.
Wine or beer?
Wine, unless it's a michelada.
Okay, what kind of wine?
Pinot Noir.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Scrabble or charades?
Charades.
What's the wallpaper on your phone?
My husband.
What's the last thing you remember Googling?
Probably a good place to eat or something. I like food.
You do love food. And you're so tiny, but she talks a lot about food, y'all. Favorite recent book you read?
Jen Sincero, You Are a Badass.
Love that. Do you have a recent fiction or favorite fiction?
I don't read fiction. I watch Law & Order SVU.
Right. One word you say too often? Last person that called or texted you?
Jaquie.
Last awkward situation you were in?
I meet fans out and about, and when fans come up to me and they want to say hi and ask for a picture, but then they don't actually, they're just standing in front of me going, and it's like, do you want a picture?
Yeah, you have to ask that.
Yeah, that's the awkward one.
Last vacation you took?
Greece.
Hobby?
Sleeping.
Bad habit you have.
Scrolling through Instagram.
Ice cream flavor.
Cookies and cream.
Guilty pleasure TV show.
One order for you.
Favorite snack.
Chips and salsa.
Favorite music right now.
I like chill hits like Bondax. I put on the Bondax station on my Spotify and I listen to like chill beats, groovy beats.
Get like indulgence. Favorite dessert if you're gonna splurge.
I'm more of a savory tooth, so just more chips and salsa.
More of that. Yeah. Biggest pet peeve.
Probably something with my husband. But I would say my pet peeve is, I don't know.
Okay, what's his biggest pet peeve that you do?
Oh, that I do. Okay. I don't clean up after myself. He's very meticulous. If there's a crumb, he's gonna let you know he saw a crumb.
We are not compatible.
So when I don't clean up after myself, he gets very annoyed.
And what is next for you? What's your next big goal, big thing you're working on?
My next hour, my 5th hour, that's what I'm currently working on. I'm tightening it up. It's almost finished. I'm tightening it up. And yeah.
Where's it going to air, or is this a new tour?
I don't know yet. I haven't sold the hour to anyone, but I'm working on being ready for when that opportunity comes. I have it ready and I'm done and I'm ready to film it, and whoever it's for, is it for Netflix, is it for Showtime, who knows?
Awesome, I love it. Okay, tell everyone where to find you.
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Anjelah Johnson, Anjelah Johnson, or my website, anjelah.com. You can get all my tour dates on anjelah.com. And yeah, watch my stories.
I'm Kelsey Humphreys with Anjelah Johnson Reyes, and this has been The Kelsey Show.